Okay, let's start our prayers. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya
Jnananjana-shalakaya Ikshurmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha
Chaitanya
Vichitanam Stapitam yena Bhutale
Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadastikam Vandeham
Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Namanshan Shri Rupa Gajatam Sagana Raghunatam Sutam Tam Sativam
Sadhvetum
Advaitam
Sadhutam
Sadhutam
Harijana
Parijana
Krishna
Sahitam Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Devam
Devam
Shri
Shri
Radha Krishna Padan Sagara Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanusute Devi Pranamami
Pranamami Hari Priye
Panchakaltarubhyascha Sindhubhya eva cha Siddhana
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namah Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankaya Te Girim Yatkripātamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining. So we have reached mantra 11 of Sri Isopanishad and there are 18 mantras. So we are trying to cover at least one every time. And so far we've been able to do that. But 9, 10 and 11 go together. And I don't know if everybody was there for last two classes. So let's read the translation of all these three together because you will see that the concept of Vidya and Avidya is mentioned in these three verses. So, at some point, like when we are coming to the end, close to the end, we'll take the whole flow of Sri Isopanishad as well. The more I read it, I hear about it, I'm, relishing how wonderful this little book is. It's so little, it's only 18 verses, but it's and including invocation, it's 19 verses, but it's covering all our basic principles, the fundamentals of Krishna consciousness. So if somebody just reads this, actually it will make it very easy to understand Bhagavad Gita and rest of the literature. So no wonder Prabhupada has included Sri Isopanishad as part of like the Bhakti Shastri course and the basic books that one should cover. But let's dive into this. So 3 verses. Who want to read these 3? Yes, Ravi Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna devotees. Mantra 9. Those who engage in the culture of nescient activities shall enter into the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those engaged in the culture of so-called knowledge. Mantra 10. The wise have explained that one result is derived from the culture of knowledge and that a different result is obtained from the culture of nescience. Mantra 11. Only one who learned the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality.
Very cool. Thank you, Prabhuji, for reading. So let's look at this. So all these 3 verses talk about the concept of Vidya and Avidya. If you remember verse 9, we talked about how Avidya, okay, this is Avidya, those that worship Avidya or ignorance, nations, they enter into darkness or ignorance. Andham tama pravishanti ye avidyam upasate. But worst are those who follow Vidya or so-called culture of knowledge. Okay, so Vidya here refers to culture of knowledge, meaning the so-called knowledge, the material knowledge, the type of knowledge that people are aspiring for in this world. People are hankering for in this world. So people that are running after this so-called culture of knowledge, this is even worse than avidya. Okay, and we had discussed, I won't go into details of this, but we had discussed that avidya means grossly ignorant activities, sinful activities, criminal activities, right? That's avidya. But vidya is people that think that they are earning education, they are becoming intellectual in this society, but and they are somehow contributing to this world. Okay, they're enhancing this modern civilization. So they are earning this mass education through colleges and universities. So they think they're contributing through like industrial development or ecological development, or they're doing some charitable work, political activity. So they think that they are making some contributions to this world through generating this knowledge of science, technology, industrialism, all this. But it is also being referred to here as avidya because that knowledge, if it is godless, we understood that if it is godless, this type of education is actually worse because it leads to more forgetfulness of God. It makes you very, very um, reliant on your own senses, body and mind, and anything that you can't perceive through your senses and mind, you reject those things. So you do not have any understanding of the subtle aspects of this world or spiritual aspects, because spiritual knowledge, spiritual activities, those things are very subtle. So by engaging in this type of material education without the presence of God, keeping God aside, Bhagwan ko kinare karke, so then you become very, very reliant on just your own sense perception. So what I can't prove, what I can't see, what I can't hear must not be there. So people lose their good qualities, people lose their good, conduct, etiquettes in this world. People lose their subtle perception of spiritual aspects of this world. So they're not able to perceive the divine's presence, divine's role in their life, because they are so committed to earning this type of so-called knowledge. So in this way, this education is considered even more harmful because it makes people atheistic. They think they can solve all the problems of this world through this knowledge. Okay. So that's the concept mentioned in Mantra 9. Okay, that there is a vidya, which is grossly ignorant activities, and then there is this so-called vidya, which is actually worse than even a vidya because it makes it very hard to come to the path of self-realization, very hard to understand God, very hard. These people become very complicated. These people become very hard-hearted, so they are not able to take up the spiritual path easily. They are very hard to convince of spiritual aspects. They're very arrogant of their material knowledge. So that is why that knowledge is even worse than the avidya. Then last class we discussed mantra 10. So then mantra 10 says, so you understood the definition of vidya and avidya in mantra 9. Okay, अब mantra 10 में जो vidya और avidya की definition, it is a little different. Okay, it says, mantra 10 says that one result is obtained by practicing vidya, anyad evahur vidyaya, anyad ahur avidyaya. So if you practice avidya, you will get one result. If you practice vidya, you will get a different result. Now here, avidya refers to both things that were mentioned in mantra 9. Okay, mantra 9 में क्या mention था? एक तो grossly ignorant activities and so-called knowledge was called vidya. Both of them are avidya. So now mantra 10 is going next step. Mantra 10 is calling both of them avidya. So if you have that kind of avidya, whether it's grossly ignorant or material knowledge, both are avidya, that avidya will give you one type of result. Whereas vidya here refers to transcendental knowledge. The true vidya is the transcendental knowledge. Okay, the true knowledge is the spiritual knowledge, the divya gyan or transcendental knowledge, as Krishna also mentions in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. It's called transcendental knowledge. So knowledge for self-realization that takes you out of this world, that makes you self-realize, that makes you earn spiritual body and gets rid of material body, so that you're forever released from your material problems, miseries, and from this dukhalyam and enter into Satchidanand state. That knowledge is called vidya. So avidya and Vidya, they have different results. Okay, and we understood what were those results. Vidya keeps you trapped in this world. It keeps you bound in this world. You have to keep accepting different types of bodies. You keep getting karmic reactions. You become very, very complicated, arrogant, dambhi, proud person who is very difficult to enter into the spiritual path, or that person is very difficult to cultivate spiritual knowledge. Whereas Vidya is the knowledge that makes you very cultured, very sober. You get all the good qualities, okay? And it liberates you, it frees you so that you are not bound to this world. You eventually get rid of the material body and you enter into the spiritual world and acquire a spiritual body. So different results are obtained from practicing these two different paths. Okay, so verse 10, we had also read about culture of knowledge. Okay, so Prabhupada had given us this beautiful purport in which he mentioned, look at, if you can see the screen or if you have the book, please look at this. There are 18 points mentioned by Prabhupada. Okay, so let me ask this question. Who remembers which verses these 18 points are taken from? If you have the book, you can see Prabhupada mentions at the beginning of the purport that he has derived these 18 points from something Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, very important verses. Who remembers which chapter and which verses?
Mataji, this is chapter 16, Asuri and Devi Sampada.
Okay.
Am I correct?
No. Lekin,
No.
I can understand where you're coming from, because the good qualities are mentioned in chapter 16 also, the qualities of Asuri and Devi people both. But this is very specific, so I'll show you. So this comes from, Prabhupada says, chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, 13.8 to 12. Okay. So let me show you. You will remember instantly as soon as I show you. So 13.8 to 12. This is very important actually. So you see, you remember that Krishna had mentioned 18 qualities: amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shanti, arjavam, acharya, upasnam, shocham. These are the qualities of a dhir purush, or Krishna says, this is how you get knowledge. This is how you attain vidya. Sthiryam, atma vinigraha, indriyartheshu, vairagyam, anahankara, जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुख दोष अनुदर्शनम, ये पूरी एक इक्वालिटी है. आसक्ति, ये सब इक्वालिटीज हैं, है ना? So okay, so please review these. We had reviewed this last time. 18 qualities. Okay, the first quality was humility. I'll just go through this very quickly. This is humility. Amanitva matlab humility, meaning giving all respect to others. Adambhitva means pridelessness. Adambhitva means pridelessness. So humility and pridelessness, not very different, but the subtle difference I'll tell you. I think some of you will appreciate the subtle difference. Amanitva means somebody has all the qualities, like let's say devotees or Vaishnavas have all the qualities, yet they give respect to others. Okay, even if they're being disrespected, they give respect to others. That is called humility. Okay, that is called amanitvam. They have all the good qualities for which they should be respected, yet they are being disrespected. So that is, and they tolerate it. That's called humility, amanitvam. दंभ का मतलब क्या होता है? दंभ या प्राइड का मतलब होता है not having a quality and yet being proud of something, yet having this dambha. That is, so to have pridelessness, that is called adambhitvam. Ahimsa, Prabhupada has described these in detail here. Ahimsa, typically we say non-violence, but Prabhupada says not only physical non-violence, but actually not giving any anxiety to others. So people that give any anxiety, whether verbal, physical, or even mental anxiety, that is himsa, that is violence. So non-violence is meaning no anxiety to others. So your behavior shouldn't be such that it gives anxiety to others. Shanti means forbearance, tolerance, right? Arjavam means no duplicity, like not playing games, no political behavior, being transparent, being simple. Saralta hi Vaishnavta hi saralta. If इसे बोलते हैं कि वैष्णव सरल होते हैं. Acharya upasana, so worship the teacher or to submissively serve the teacher. Shocham means cleanliness. Stharyam, steadfastness, being fixed up. So we should get fixed up. It is said we should get fixed in devotional service. That is stharyam, sthir hona, steadfast hona. Atma vinigraha, matlab self-control hona, okay, not giving into the urges of senses. इसका भी यही मतलब है थोड़ा इंद्रियार्थेषु. Okay, vairagyam, vairagya matlab renunciation. So renunciation doesn't mean to just give up everything, but also to not accept things more than what you need. So vairagyam, to be detached, to be not giving into all the urges. Anahankar, anahankar matlab no false ego, without bodily conception. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha dosha anudarshanam means to understand that we cannot, that these are not the real problems. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi, these are not the real problems. So not get too absorbed considering that these are the real problems. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi is not the real problems of our life. So don't get too absorbed in just solving these problems. Asakti, without attachment. Anabhishwanga means without impure association. Give up impure association. Anabhishwanga. Putra dara grihadeshu means to not just be attached to the family life. Samachittatvam means equipoised. Okay. Okay. Now this is the most important. So please pay attention to this one. Mai chananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini. Okay. And this is the most important quality. So we discussed this a little bit last time, that out of all the qualities that Krishna has mentioned to attain knowledge, the most important quality is to worship the Lord with ananya bhakti. Mai cha ananya yogena. Avyabhicharini bhakti se. Avyabhicharini bhakti kya hoti hai? Who knows the meaning of word vyabhichari? Vyabhichari. We have seen this word in Bhagavad Gita, other places also.
I say Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Vyabhichar means the one who is not good in character, going everywhere. सब जगह मुंह मारना.
Yeah, unchaste. है ना, जैसे किसी लेडी के लिए या मैन के लिए कह सकते हैं, अगर कोई अपने हस्बैंड या स्पाउस के लिए chaste नहीं है, तो that means वो व्याभिचारी पुरुष है या व्याभिचारी स्त्री है. So अव्यभिचारिणी भक्ति का मतलब है कि केवल्य भक्ति towards Krishna. Okay. So with ananya yogena mai cha bhakti avyabhicharini. So that this is one of the important qualities. And then Krishna says adhyatma jnana nityatvam. So whoever tries to earn adhyatmic jnana meaning the real vidya, whoever tries to earn that routinely on a daily basis, nityatvam. So to those people, this culture of knowledge is revealed. Okay, etad jnanam iti proktam ajnanam yad atonyatha. So, so Krishna is saying in this verse that these people who cultivate these qualities are sober people. They are qualified. They have achieved the qualification to acquire this vidya, the culture of knowledge. And all this is knowledge. Besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. So Prabhupada very expertly has weaved this verse into the purport of mantra 10 of Sri Isopanishad. Please go through this in your own time. But these 18 points that Krishna has mentioned in those 13.8 to 12 are presented by Prabhupada in a very, very expert fashion. He's making it relevant for us for this day and age. Okay, so Prabhupada has modified it a little bit. It's not like Prabhupada has given it as such. So, जैसे कि एक example देखते हैं, कृष्णा ने बोला अमानित्वम, humility, है ना? प्रभुपाद ने उसको क्या बनाया है? One should become a perfect gentleman and learn to give proper respect to others. तो प्रभुपाद ने देखो कितने expertly humility को दिया है. प्रभुपाद ने बस ऐसा नहीं लिख दिया humility. क्योंकि परफेक्ट जेंटलमैन बनना, परफेक्ट कॉन्डक्ट होना, टू गिव प्रॉपर रिस्पेक्ट टू अदर्स इज द प्रॉपर ह्यूमिलिटी, इज अमानित्वम. तो अमानित्वम का मतलब ये है, अगर आप डिसरिस्पेक्टफुली एक्ट कर रहे हो या जेंटलमैन नहीं हो, सो दैट मीन्स यू डोंट हैव ह्यूमिलिटी. तो प्रभुपाद ने हमारी टाइम, एज, टाइम, प्लेस, सर्कमस्टांस के हिसाब से ये दिए हैं, तो इसलिए very nice to read these 18 points. Similarly, जैसे अदम्भित्वम के लिए प्रभुपाद ने दिया है, one should not pose himself as a religionist simply for name and fame. अब आप सोचोगे कि इसमें दम्भ से क्या लेना देना इस बात का कि कोई पोज कर रहा है अपने आप को, क्योंकि हमने बताया कि दम्भ का मतलब होता है जिसके पास क्वालिटीज नहीं हैं लेकिन फिर भी वो बहुत प्राउड अपनी क्वालिटीज डिस्प्ले करता है, मीनिंग somebody who does not have the knowledge of scriptures or qualities of Vaishnavas and posing himself as a spiritualist, as a religionist for name and fame. So he does not have the qualities or the qualifications, yet to pose this is dambha. तो अदम्भित्वम प्रैक्टिस करनी चाहिए. प्रभुपाद ने हमारे टाइम के हिसाब से, हमारे सर्कमस्टांसेस के हिसाब से उन चीजों को इलैबोरेट करके दिया है. फिर प्रभुपाद ने हिंसा के लिए जैसे दिया, सोर्स ऑफ एंजाइटी नहीं बनना चाहिए, फोरबियरेंस होनी चाहिए इवन इन द फेस ऑफ प्रोवोकेशन फ्रॉम अदर्स. So he did not just say we should have arjavam. Arjavam matlab forbearance or tolerance. He said should learn forbearance in the face of provocation from others, because he knows that we will be provoked multiple times a day. So we should learn this forbearance and tolerance. फिर simplicity के लिए प्रभुपाद ने दिया, avoid your duplicity in dealings with others. So you see how expertly, like it's Prabhupada is not just. So this is the beauty of Prabhupada's purports. He does not just give कि चलो word to word दे देता हूँ अपने आप समझ लेंगे, humility दे दिया, pridelessness दे दिया, non-violence ऐसे से देते जाओ. नहीं, he has made it very relevant for us. You can see how Prabhupada is a true well-wisher. He wants us to apply this knowledge. So what does simplicity mean? What does avoiding duplicity means? That in our dealing with others, we stay simple. We don't play games. We are not political. We are not manipulative. We are कि अपने end के लिए, to achieve your own end, you're manipulating, playing with people's emotions and other things. So in your dealings with others, avoid duplicity. So like that. Then he said आचार्य उपासना को देखो प्रभुपाद ने कैसे अच्छे से इलैबोरेट किया. आचार्य उपासना मतलब पहले तो बोनाफाइड स्पिरिचुअल मास्टर ढूंढो, and then serve him submissively, and ask questions. Service से, question से, and submissiveness से you will please him and you will get the knowledge. So like that you can go through this. We did a little bit of this last time. Yes, Nagarjun Prabhu, you wanted to share something?
No, I actually had a question. I know you said read it in a long time. I don't know if there was time to discuss this, but I was just a little confused with and we have read this before. I just can't understand it right now. Is what do we mean by when we say the four, not to be disturbed by the four, but not to think that these four are the main problems of life, because we often say that these are the main problems. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. That is a little confusing.
Okay, yeah. So so to understand that these problems will be there and we have to transcend them. So which means like people, so abhi mantra 11 padhenge na, usme aayega. People are just trying to become immortal, or people are trying to solve the problems of disease and death by artificial means, right? So they're so consumed by that the real solution they are missing. The real solution is to just transcend this material body and achieve spiritual body. So not by artificial means get completely absorbed in this, but to transcend them by the real solution. So that's what it means to have the real knowledge. So
okay, so not think about temporary solutions to these. Think about like a permanent solution, which is getting away from birth and cycle of birth and death.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So let's trying to see how to go about it. We should read mantra 11, but let me just present mantra 10 very quickly. थोड़ा सा और, क्योंकि हमारा थोड़ा रह गया mantra 10. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So mantra 10, we talked about these qualities of a sober person. You understand 13.8 to 12. This is a memory verse. We can all try to memorize this if possible. It's a long verse, I know, but these are the qualities we have to imbibe in our life. So that's how you become a dheer purush, a discriminating person with vivek buddhi, become a sober person. And in order to acquire these qualities, we should learn from sober person. We should take association of other sober people. Okay, and this is the culture of knowledge. So try to acquire these qualities and serve and hear from and engage with the other sober people. So this is the culture of knowledge. Okay, and mantra 9, we had also talked about blind leading the blind. Do you remember this slide? That if a blind man leads another blind man, both will fall into the pit. So blind man means that these people who are materially educated and they think that they can get you out of these problems of janam, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, and ultimately nobody gets out of the cycle of birth and death and actually get more trapped. So in this way, or if they're fake gurus, they are the gurus that are not speaking from scriptures, that are not following, that are fraudulent, that do not have the qualities and are just exploiting you. So those are blind men leading the other blind men. Okay, now this concept is very important. So we talked about only material knowledge. When we have only material knowledge, that is avidya. Okay, that is avidya, which means it makes one a sophisticated animal. You start, you become more enjoyer in tendency. ठीक है, आपकी जो भोगा की tendency होती है वो बढ़ जाती है by just acquiring only material knowledge. अगर godless तरीके से, atheistic तरीके से material knowledge ली जाए, तो you just become a sophisticated animal. Your lordship mentality, your arrogance, all those increase. You want external comforts and temporary enjoyment more and more. Okay, and you do not solve any real problems. So in this way, and ultimately this type of knowledge causes a long-term impact on our mental, physical, and environmental health. It causes degradation of the body, plus it causes spiritual degradation and material devastation. This type of civilization is called godless civilization, culture of nations. Okay, so when Prabhupada keeps saying avidya, mantra 10 में Prabhupada was saying avidya, तो avidya का मतलब है only material knowledge को earn करना और spiritual knowledge को किनारे कर देना. So these people become non-discriminating men. They slowly, अगर उनमें कुछ good qualities थी भी, वो धीरे धीरे खत्म हो जाती हैं because material knowledge in itself cannot give you any good qualities. It is just it is a form of illusory energy which binds you in this world. So these people become very trapped by, let's say, the power of their wealth or name or fame or position, etc. Okay, so they start clinging to this world and they start clinging to the things of this world, and they develop a lot of, eventually they develop a lot of fear and anxiety. जब उनकी वो name, fame, position, power, wealth वगैरह जाने लगती है, property वगैरह जाने लगती है, so they become very fearful and anxious. That is what only material knowledge does, and that is what is being propagated in this world. So that is why the civilization is becoming godless. It is culture of nations or avidya. तो हमने ये भी लिया था डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू, कि अगर आप कल्चर ऑफ नॉलेज लेते हो तो आप में ये 18 क्वालिटीज आती हैं, जैसे यू बिकम हम्बल, यू हैव अ टेंडेंसी ऑफ सैक्रिफाइस, यू बिकम अ कल्चर्ड पर्सन, यू डेवलप पेशेंस, टॉलरेंस, फॉरगिवनेस, नॉन वायलेंस, you become very grounded, you become more grateful, you have gratitude, you become detached, you give honor and respect to others, you have servant mentality, right? Krishna centered, you know that nothing is meant for you, for your enjoyment, so you become servant mentality. Culture of nations on the other hand, क्या होता है, जो भी godless civilization है उसमें क्या होता है, you become easily disturbed, distracted, very arrogant, very entitled, कि मुझे, मेरे साथ ये क्यों हो रहा है, मुझे ये क्यों भोगने को नहीं मिल रहा, इसको क्यों ज्यादा मिल रहा है मुझसे. तो आपकी वैल्यूज और वर्च्यूज भी खत्म हो जाती हैं या फिर डेवलप ही नहीं होती. फॉल्स प्रेस्टीज, प्राइड, इल्यूजन, ये सब आने लगता है. स्ट्रॉन्ग बॉडीली कंसेप्शन, स्ट्रॉन्ग बॉडीली अटैचमेंट टू द थिंग्स ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड आने लगती है. डिसरिस्पेक्ट, यू बिकम डिसरिस्पेक्टफुल टुवर्ड्स अदर्स. एंड मी सेंटर्ड मेंटालिटी, इंजॉयर मेंटालिटी, कि मुझे क्यों नहीं ये दे रहे, मुझे क्यों नहीं ये मिल रहा, या मेरे ये चीज मेरे भोगने के लिए ही है, मी वाली इंजॉयर मेंटालिटी आ जाती है. सो दैट इज कल्चर ऑफ नेशंस. ठीक है, तो फिर अल्टीमेटली वी रियलाइज दैट इसका मतलब सिर्फ अविद्या नहीं ले सकते, सिर्फ मटेरियल नॉलेज नहीं ले सकते, वी नीड बोथ. ओके, वी नीड बोथ. स्पिरिचुअलिटी या स्पिरिचुअल नॉलेज इज इंपॉर्टेंट. ठीक है, सो इसीलिए स्पिरिचुअलिटी इज इंपॉर्टेंट. ठीक है, ये हो गया. Now let's look at verse 11, mantra 11, जो हमें आज की हमारी वर्स है उसको रिसाइट करते हैं. Let's read it थोड़ा. So verse 11 को read करते हैं. इसमें अब concept आएगा कि how to take them together. So मंत्रा 9 everybody is clear कि एक विद्या होती है, एक अविद्या. लेकिन विद्या जो so called knowledge होती है, that is worse than gross ignorance. फिर मंत्रा 10 में आया कि विद्या से अलग रिजल्ट मिलता है, अविद्या से अलग रिजल्ट मिलता है. फिर मंत्रा 11 में अब आएगा कि दोनों को साथ लेके चलना है. We have to take them together. Okay, so let's recite this. विद्यां च यस् तद्वेदो भयं सः अविद्याया मृत्युं तीर्त्वा विद्याया अमृतमश्नुते. Okay, so vidyam ch yas, that vidya and avidya. Vedobhayam is a combination of Veda plus Ubhayam. Veda matlab the one who knows. Okay, Veda means the one who knows. Ubhayam means dono ko. Ubhayam word is very common. Just say in chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, Senayor ubhayor madhye ratham sthapayame achyuta. So Arjun says that दोनों सेनाओं के बीच में, दोनों सेना, सेनयोर उभयोर मध्य, दोनों सेनाओं के बीच में मेरा रथ ले जाइए कृष्णा. It's a very famous verse. So जब हम बोलते हैं दोनों, तो उभयम वर्ड आता है. So the one who knows, Veda मतलब the one who knows, उभयम दोनों, saha मतलब simultaneously, साथ में. Okay, that person can transcend mrityu. Matlab that person can become immortal. That is very amazing. They can become immortal. Amritam ashnute. Amritam matlab deathlessness. अमृत हो जाएंगे, मृत नहीं होंगे, अमृत हो जाएंगे. अश्नुते मतलब enjoy करेंगे. They will enjoy deathlessness. So this is a very strong claim Sri Isopanishad is making, that actually do both. Now, somebody might say, you always say that, earn spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge, divya gyan. Now, this verse is saying do both. Vedobhyam. So, uska hame answer dekhna hai ki kya answer hai. Okay? So, let's, can somebody read this translation? And can somebody read this first paragraph also of the purport? Let's read the purport a little. Please keep volunteering to read so we can keep going.
Translation? Yes, I can read.
Yes.
Only one who can learn the process of nations and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. Purport. Since the creation of the material world, everyone has been trying to attain a permanent life. But the laws of nature are so cruel that no one has been able to avoid the hand of death. No one wants to die, nor does anyone want to become old or diseased. The law of nature, however, does not allow anyone immunity from old age, disease, or death, nor has the advancement of material knowledge and solved these problems. Material science can discover the nuclear bomb to accelerate the process of death, but it cannot discover anything that can protect man from the cruel hands of old age, disease, and death.
Very good. So this is saying one who can learn this process of nations, so avidya, matlab material education below, and transcendental knowledge, vidya below, side by side. That person can transcend the influence of birth and death. Okay, mrityum tirtva. Tirtva matlab transcend kar sakta hai. And enjoy ashnute, the full blessings of immortality, of amritam or deathlessness. Okay. So in this paragraph, Prabhupada is saying that if you try to make some material arrangement to escape death, you cannot escape. Okay, and people have tried that to become immortal. People have tried many things. Can anyone think of an example, very famous example of who tried to attain immortality and made many arrangements to become immortal from our scriptures?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Maharaj Yayati.
Yayati. Okay, yes, Mataji. Can you share a couple lines? I don't know if everybody knows about.
माताजी उन्होंने ना भोगवती बढ़ा अपना उनको और भोग करने के लिए उन्होंने अपने पुत्र की आयु ले ली थी.
Yes. हाँ, तो उनका तो क्या हुआ था फिर? He got detached ultimately, right?
Yes, last में.
अपने पुत्री की आयु ले ली थी. ठीक है. Yes. So ऐसे तरीके से बहुत करते हैं. लेकिन एक और फेमस एग्जांपल है. किसी ने बहुत ज्यादा डिस्टॉर्ट करने की कोशिश की. Yes, Hiranyakashipu.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He tried to distort the laws of nature a lot to become immortal, है ना? अभी प्रभुपाद उसके बारे में ही बताएंगे, तो उसके बारे में पढ़ते हैं next paragraph में. And then, so nowadays we don't have that much austerity. We cannot do that much tapasya like Hiranyakashipu. So now we are trying different things. We are trying the scientific knowledge. We are trying to manipulate modern science to become immortal, है ना? तो लेकिन ज्यादा से ज्यादा एंटी एजिंग की कितनी चीजें आती हैं, ये दवाई खाओ, ये इंजेक्शन लो, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. और कितनी मैंने तो बुक्स में ऐसे पढ़ा है कि लोग अपने अपने आप को प्रिजर्व करने के लिए अपने माइंड को ट्रांसप्लांट कर देते हैं एआई के थ्रू इन द कंप्यूटर्स एंड व्हाट नॉट. पीपल जस्ट समहाउ और द अदर वांट टू बिकम इमॉर्टल, ताकि हमारी कोई भी चीज people are very scared of going into oblivion, that one day we will just stop existing and all our everything will be gone. It's very difficult idea. So everybody has been trying to become immortal from a long time, but no elixirs or nectars or all these things grant you immortality. So there is no immunity from old age. ठीक है, आगे पढ़ते हैं. Who can read the next two paragraphs? Actually, this is Hiranyakashipu story, which you all know, so we'll quickly read it. Please read.
Should I continue?
Sure.
From the Puranas, we learn of the activities of Hiranyakashipu, a king who was very much advanced materially. Wanting to conquer cruel death by his material acquisitions and the strength of his nescience, he underwent a type of meditation to swear that the inhabitants of all the planetary systems became disturbed by his mystic powers. He forced the creator of the universe, the demigod Brahma, to come down to him. He then asked Brahma for the benediction of becoming Amara, by which one does not die. Brahma said that he could not award the benediction because even he, the material creator who rules all planets, is not Amar. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 8.17, Brahma lives a long time, but that does not mean he is immortal. Hiranya means gold and Kashvya means soft bed. This cunning gentleman, Hiranyakashipu, was interested in these two things, money and woman, and he wanted to enjoy them by becoming immortal. He asked from Brahma benedictions in hopes of indirectly fulfilling his desire to become immortal. Since Brahma told him that he could not grant the gift of immortality, Hiranyakashipu requested that he not be killed by any man, animal, god, or any other living being within the 84 lakhs species. He also asked that he not die on land, in the air, or in water, or by any weapon. In this way, Hiranyakashipu foolishly thought these guarantees would save him from death. Ultimately, however, although Brahma granted him all these benedictions, he was killed by the personality of Godhead in the form of Narasimha. The Brahma granted him Narasimha, the Lord half lion, half man incarnation. and no weapon was used to kill him, for he was killed by the Lord's nails. Nor was he killed on the land, in the air, or in the water, for he was killed on the lap of that wonderful living being, Narasimha, who was beyond his conception. Hari Bol.
हरि बोल। तो ये तो पूरी कहानी हो गई हमारी हिरण्यकश्यपु कैसे ही wanted to become immortal. उसने ब्रह्मा जी से वरदान लिए. ब्रह्मा जी ने कहा, I cannot give you the boon of immortality because even I am not Amar, I am not immortal. So then Hiranyakashipu tried to manipulate, he tried to cheat the laws of nature. So he made this very complicated plan, arrangement of becoming immortal. उसने बड़ी सारी benedictions मान ली कि ना मैं धरती पे मरूं, ना आकाश में, ना पानी में, ना day में, ना night में, ना by man or animal, ना inside, ना outside, ना किसी weapon से, right? So in this way, he came up with this complicated arrangement. And he was just causing, why was he wanting immortality? He wanted immortality to enjoy women and money. So gold, Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu means soft bed. So he just wanted to enjoy money and women. And in this way, that is why he wanted to become immortal. And if you think, what is our plans? Like, why do people today want to extend their life? Just to enjoy. ऐसे तो नहीं है कि उनको भगवान की भक्ति करने के लिए टाइम चाहिए या उनको स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ के लिए टाइम कम हो रहा है. नहीं, उनको एंजॉय करने के लिए टाइम चाहिए, राइट? कि हम ओल्ड हो जाएंगे, डिजीज हो जाएंगे, तो हम कैसे एंजॉय करेंगे? So even you see like yoga processes and people take up these days is just for enjoyment. That's why it's not really yoga, those physical postures and things that people do. That's not to connect to the Lord, that they're doing those yogic processes. They're just doing that for health, which is fine. But then what do they do with that health? They engage it in bhoga. What do they do with that body that becomes sturdy? जिम में जाना, ये सब जो डाइट भी फॉलो कर रहे हैं, कुछ भी कर रहे हैं, जस्ट नॉट कि भाई मेरी बॉडी हेल्दी रहे, सो आई कैन सर्व मोर, सो आई कैन आई हैव इनफ लाइफ टू बी एबल टू achieve perfection of life, so I don't become diseased too early, so that I can continue my chanting and hearing and all those things properly, but rather so that I can enjoy with that body. If I have a sturdy body, if I have a beautiful body, then I can, people will be attracted to me, or I'll enjoy it more. I'll be able to I'll have more propensity for bhoga. फिर जो मर्जी खाओ पियो, क्योंकि ये सब कर रहे हैं साथ में. So immortality का या जो ये सब concepts हैं today, these are all for enjoyment only. So they just support our enjoy tendencies. So that is why we say intention matters. इसलिए जो ये योगा भी आजकल चल रहा है, that is the intention is just is not to maintain a healthy body so that we have a better life to be able to serve others for sacrifice, but more for just being able to enjoy more. So Hiranyakashipu ka bhi aisa hi tha, and we are nothing but mini Hiranyakashipus actually. So he forced Brahma ji and was thus creating. And then what did he do after he got those boons? He thought he had become invincible, so he started creating disturbances. सारे देवी देवताओं को अपने employment में लगा लिया, कोई कुछ कर रहा है, कोई कुछ कर रहा है. So in this way he was creating disturbances. So such austerities, such mystic powers, and even such scientific powers that we have today, with which we try to prolong our life or delay the disease or delay the old age, those things, we just using those to create more disturbance in the world. So it's like itna material devastation hota hai because we're using so many resources and whatnot. So then Prabhupada, I can read these two small paragraphs, and please decide who wants to read the next two. The whole point here is that even Hiranyakashipu, the most powerful of materialists, could not become deathless by his various plans. What then can be accomplished by the tiny Hiranyakashipus of today, whose plans are thwarted from moment to moment? Sri Isopanishad instructs us not to make one-sided attempts to win the struggle for existence. Everyone is struggling hard for existence, but the laws of material nature are so hard and fast that they do not allow anyone to surpass them. In order to attain a permanent life, one must be prepared to go back to Godhead. So this is your answer, Nagarjuna Prabhu. You were answering, questioning about this, that we should not make. So this is struggle for existence, right? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi will be there. There will be miseries as long as we are in this material world. But if we make one-sided attempts to win this struggle, then we will fail, because the laws of material nature are so hard that if you're just fighting to prevent those miseries, then the laws of nature will not allow anyone to surpass them. So if you really want a permanent life, if you really want immortality, eternality, then you need to get your spiritual body. You must be prepared to go back to Godhead. तो यही बात उसमें थी. Actually निर्भय प्रभु hit the point on the head by asking that question, क्योंकि वो इसमें भी था. हाँ, this one. The point, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanudarshanam. One should always remember that as long he has a material body, he must face the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. There is no use in making plans to get rid of these miseries of material body. The best course is to find out the means by which one may regain his spiritual identity. तो स्पिरिचुअल आइडेंटिटी रिगेन करके परमानेंट, दैट इज आवर परमानेंट बॉडी, our सच्चिदानंद रूप acquire करके ही we can become immortal, invincible, not by these artificial means that Hiranyakashipu used or people use today. इसमें ना एक कहानी आती है, आई थिंक ये रावण की कहानी है. हाँ, तो रावण एक बार क्या था, somehow he got into some kind of fight with Narad Muni and he started shooting these arrows at Narad Muni. एंड वो देख रहा था कि नारद मुनि की बॉडी में एरो पियर्स ही नहीं हो रहे, वो उसमें से निकल जाते थे या गिर जाते थे, कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा. नारद मुनि अपना नारायण नारायण कर रहे हैं, उनको कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा. सो ही वाज वेरी बैफल्ड, ये क्या. तो अब ये जो ऐसे डिमोनिक लोग होते हैं उनकी टेंडेंसी होती है, जैसे उसने वाली के साथ भी ऐसे किया था कि इसको डिस्ट्रॉय नहीं कर सकते तो इसके फ्रेंड बन जाओ. सो ही सेड ओके, आई विल जस्ट बिकम फ्रेंड्स विद दिस गाय, ही सीम्स वेरी पावरफुल. सो ही आस्क्ड हिम, जैसे कि हिरण्यकश्यप ने प्रहलाद से पूछा था ना, तुम्हारी पावर का सोर्स कहाँ से आ रहा है, मैंने तुम्हें इतना मारने की कोशिश की, तुम मरती ही नहीं हो, तुम मर ही नहीं रहे, तुम इमॉर्टल तो नहीं हो. वो सोच रहा है मैं इमॉर्टल हूँ, हिरण्यकश्यप सोच रहा है, और ये प्रहलाद मर नहीं रहा, इसको मैं मारने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, इतनी चीजें कर लिए, मर नहीं रहा. ऐसे ही रावण भी सोच रहा है कि ये मर नहीं रहा है ये नारद, तो क्या व्हाट इज द सोर्स ऑफ देयर पावर. उसने भी ऐसे ही सोचा जैसे हिरण्यकशिपु ने पूछा था प्रहलाद से, व्हाट इज द सोर्स ऑफ योर पावर. सो नारद ने हंसते हंसते जवाब दिया कि देखो, यू कैन नॉट किल माई बॉडी विद दीज एरोज एंड वेपन्स एंड थिंग्स ऑफ दिस वर्ल्ड, बिकॉज आई हैव स्पिरिचुअल बॉडी. I have spiritual body. That's how I'm able to, I'm a transcendental traveler, spaceman. I can go anywhere in any of these lokas because I have spiritual body. With your material body, you cannot do those things. तो इसलिए अपने मटेरियल वेपन से तुम मेरी स्पिरिचुअल बॉडी को मार नहीं सकते. तब रावण ने कहा, अच्छा नारद, मुझे भी ये स्पिरिचुअल बॉडी चाहिए, ये कैसे मिलती है. तो नारद ने कहा, स्पिरिचुअल बॉडी मिलने के लिए, लेने के लिए भगवान की भक्ति करनी पड़ती है, भगवान का नाम जपना पड़ता है. तो रावण कहा, अरे जाओ, मैं नहीं करता ये सब, मैं अपने तरीके लगाऊंगा, ये आई एम श्योर देयर इज सम अदर वे, आई एम श्योर देयर कैन बी सम अदर उपाय करूंगा. इसलिए लोग इस दुनिया में उपाय करते हैं ना, तरह तरह के, कोई यज्ञ करके उपाय करता है टू स्टे इन दिस वर्ल्ड, टू गेट आउट ऑफ दीज मिजरीज, है ना, करते हैं, राइट. यू मस्ट हैव सीन कि हमारे को ये नहीं मिल रहा, वो नहीं हो रहा, ये डिजीज आ गई, तो उपाय करते हैं, चलो ये यज्ञ करवाते हैं, चलो ये डेमीगॉड वर्शिप करते हैं, क्योंकि वेदों पुराणों में लिखा है कि अगर आप ये करो, या एस्ट्रोलॉजी को करते हैं यूज, तो हो सकता है हम कोई उपाय से इस चीज को टाल दें. तो ठीक है, अभी टाल दोगे, लेकिन जो आपके कर्मा में लिखा है, यू विल गेट दैट वन वे और द अदर. इसी तरीके से हम मटेरियल साइंस के थ्रू भी तरह तरह के उपाय करते हैं. किसी को बच्चा नहीं हो रहा तो फिर वो इनफर्टिलिटी ट्रीटमेंट्स करके उपाय करता है, राइट. वी ट्राई टू सरपास द ओवरकम द लॉज ऑफ नेचर. तो हम तरह तरह के उपाय करते हैं इस दुनिया में. लेकिन अगर permanent upay chahiye, permanent solution to these problems, Narad Muni said, is to get spiritual body, and that you can achieve by following the paradharma, which is the hetuki apratihata bhakti of the Lord, by which which is the only way to please the Supreme Lord. So you get spiritual identity and you become your original form of spiritual body you can achieve, and then that cannot be harmed by janam mrityu jara vyadi. I think we can read, can somebody read couple more paragraphs? I'll see if we can finish. I don't know if we can finish. We cannot finish this, but let's read a little more. So we have to read from here. Who can read the next two paragraphs? Rekha Mataji, want to read? Or Hema Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, I can
Okay.
read.
Sure.
The process by which one goes back to Godhead is a different branch of knowledge. and it has to be learned from revealed Vedic scriptures such as Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam. To become happy in this life and attain permanent blissful life, after leaving this material body, one must study this sacred literature and obtain transcendental knowledge. The conditioned living being has forgotten his eternal relationship with God and has mistakenly accepted the temporary place of his birth as all in all. The Lord has kindly delivered the above mentioned scriptures in India and other scriptures in other countries to remind the forgetful human being that his home is not here in this material world. The living being is a spiritual entity and he can be happy only by returning to the spiritual home. From this kingdom, from his kingdom, the personality of Godhead sends his bona fide servants to propagate this message by which one can return to Godhead, and sometimes Lord comes himself to do this work. Since all living beings are his beloved sons, his parts and parcels, God is more sorry than we ourselves to see the sufferings we are constantly undergoing in this material condition. I lost it. One second.
Sorry. Yeah, I was also.
I think it's somewhere the miseries. Yeah, I found it. The miseries of this material world serve to indirectly remind us of our incompatibility with dead matter. Intelligent living entities generally take note of these reminders and engage themselves in culture of vidya or transcendental knowledge. Human life is the best opportunity for culture of spiritual knowledge, and human being who does not take advantage of this opportunity is called Naradhama, the lowest of human beings. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so here Prabhupada is saying that the process by which one goes back to Godhead is given by Krishna. So this is the authorized way of becoming immortal by getting the Vidya, the culture of knowledge that is given by Krishna. So baki miseries of this world, struggle for existence will always be there. We know that as long as we are in this body. So permanent solution is by going back to Godhead. And how do you go back to Godhead and win this struggle for existence is by getting this Vidya. So in this way, the Vidya reminds you of your original position, your identity, your goal of life. Okay, Abhi, now remember that the verse said that we have to take both of Vidya and Avidya together. You remember that? That was the whole point we had to discuss, है ना? तो अब मैं आपको थोड़ा सा ये शो करती हूँ. Let's hit that point on the head. कि हमें साथ में क्या लेने का मतलब है? दोनों क्यों लेनी है? उसको पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है? Can you see my screen, the slide? Okay. So you see mantra 9 said कि अविद्या और क्या होती है? So called knowledge और gross ignorance, दोनों को अविद्या बोलते हैं. मंत्र 10 हो गया, विद्या से मतलब ट्रांसेंडेंटल नॉलेज से एक रिजल्ट मिलता है और अविद्या से डिफरेंट रिजल्ट मिलता है. मंत्र 11 हो गया, दोनों को साइड बाय साइड लेके चलना है टू अचीव इमोर्टैलिटी. ओके, सो हमने ये समझ लिया कि हम आर्टिफिशियल मीन से इमोर्टल नहीं हो सकते, लेकिन दोनों को साथ लेके चलने से इमोर्टल हो सकते हैं. सो वेदोभ्यम इज आवर वर्ड फॉर दिस वर्स. ठीक है, मंत्र 9 के लिए हमारा वर्ड था अविद्या, क्योंकि उसमें सब अविद्या बताई गई थी. मंत्र 10 के लिए वर्ड था विद्या, क्योंकि उसमें कल्चर ऑफ नॉलेज बताया गया था कि धीर पुरुष का संग करके, धीर पुरुष बन के आप कल्चर ऑफ नॉलेज ले सकते हो. और मंत्र 11 में बताया गया दोनों को, तो वेदोभ्यम, वेदा मतलब टू नो, उभ्यम मतलब बोथ. सो टू नो बोथ साइड बाय साइड इज कॉल्ड वेदोभ्यम. सो दैट इज मंत्र 11. और उससे हमें फिर वी हैव अश्योरेंस ऑफ इमोर्टैलिटी. तो जिसको भी यहाँ पे इमोर्टल होना है उसको दोनों चीजों को, विद्या और अविद्या दोनों को समझना होगा. इस पॉइंट का मतलब क्या है दोनों को समझना? इसका मतलब ये है कि nobody is saying that you stop getting material knowledge or stop going to college, universities, schools in this world, that you stop learning, training, advancing, honing your skills. Nobody is saying that. But we are saying don't think that that material knowledge is all in all. have the foundation of dharma or spiritual foundation before or side by side while making this material building on it. So material knowledge ko lo, but use it for living fruitfully in this world, living intelligently in this world, living in a way that you can contribute to this world. But don't think that is all in all. Understand that वो center नहीं है. वो जो है वो सिर्फ सपोर्ट कर रहा है आपकी स्पिरिचुअल एग्जिस्टेंस को. बिकॉज वी आर इन दिस बॉडी, because we have accepted this body, so we have certain roles in this body for which we need material knowledge to maintain this body and its various roles, its various responsibilities. We need to make some contributions to the society, to the community. We need some material knowledge in this world, okay, even to maintain the soul and body together so that the soul can perform its function of getting out of here. तो इसका एग्जांपल आप ऐसे लो. मान लो ये बॉडी जो है ये एक व्हीकल है, ये एक बोट है. ये बोट आपको सागर में से लेके जा रही है. तो आपको बोट चलाना आना चाहिए या नहीं? आपको बोट की नॉलेज होनी चाहिए या नहीं कि बोट कैसे चलती है, उसका पावर वगैरह, उसकी चप्पू या उसका करंट के साथ कैसे जाना है. सी की नॉलेज भी होनी चाहिए. सी हो गया मटेरियल वर्ल्ड, उसकी भी नॉलेज होनी चाहिए, बोट की भी नॉलेज होनी चाहिए. तो बोट और सी हो गए आपका मटेरियल वर्ल्ड एंड मटेरियल बॉडी. आप हो द सोल, द लिविंग एंटिटी. He needs to have the knowledge of that boat and the sea to cross that ocean. तो यहाँ से निकलने के लिए भी मटेरियल नॉलेज चाहिए हमें, ठीक है, ताकि हम इस भव सागर को सेफली अच्छे से क्रॉस कर सकें. ऐसा नहीं कि मैं अपनी बॉडी की बेसिक मेंटेनेंस को छोड़ दूं, खाना पीने कहाँ से आएगा, पैसा अर्न ना करूं. That is not what we are saying. You can see Sri Isopanishad is clearly saying you should earn both type of knowledge, then the soul can safely go across. ठीक है, तो सोल के सेफ पैसेज के लिए भी आपको बॉडी की और वर्ल्ड की थोड़ी मटेरियल नॉलेज चाहिए, बट सिर्फ उतने के लिए ही चाहिए. ऐसे नहीं कि एक्स्ट्रा प्रयास नहीं करना, एक्स्ट्रा एंडेवर नहीं करना, बहुत ज्यादा यहाँ पे रमने के लिए, यहाँ पे बसने के लिए नॉलेज नहीं लेनी. यहाँ पे नॉलेज लेनी है सिर्फ इतना जो आपको यहाँ से ले जाए बस. So that is what you need the material knowledge for. That's why you need both. So we have to shift our focus. ठीक है, which means अभी हमारा in this godless civilization the focus is more on material knowledge, more on avidya. We are not saying to ignore the avidya, but we are saying shift your focus more on spiritual aspect of our existence, more on the spiritual knowledge, and to get out of here and understand that janam, mrityu, jara, vyadhi will be part of there will be the struggles, there will be miseries, there will be obstacles, problems in this existence. So to overcome those struggles, you use material knowledge as needed, utna hi bas jitna chahiye. So that is how you shift your focus. उसको थोड़ा periphery में करो, इसको थोड़ा center में लाओ, दोनों को combine करो, and then your boat will go properly. So material knowledge should be used to fulfill the goal of achieving self-realization. ठीक है, ये उसका गोल होना. मटेरियल नॉलेज इसलिए नहीं होनी चाहिए फॉर द सेक ऑफ मटेरियल नॉलेज, टू exert your lordship on this world, to become very proud and arrogant and become even more ahankari and even become more bodily oriented in this world, even more enjoyer in this world. No, the material knowledge should be to fulfill the goal of achieving self-realization. वो ultimate goal याद रख के फिर material knowledge को उस तरफ बढ़ने के लिए यूज करो. कि मैं कार चला के जा रहा हूँ, कार मेरा व्हीकल है, बॉडी मेरी व्हीकल है, तो मुझे वो कार की कुछ नॉलेज तो होनी चाहिए ना, मुझे कार की कुछ मेंटेनेंस तो करनी होगी ना, कार को कुछ फ्यूल तो देना होगा, क्लीन करना होगा, उसके कुछ पहिए चेक कराने होंगे, कुछ मेंटेनेंस तो करनी होगी ना, मुझे रास्ते का भी नॉलेज चाहिए होगी, मुझे रास्ते में कितना कितना रुकना है, पर उतना ही रुकना है, उतना ही चलना है, किस स्पीड पे चलना है, ये सब चाहिए होगा टू come to get to my destination. But अगर मैं रास्ते में रुक ही जाऊं, कहीं पे बस enjoy ही करने लग जाऊं, then I will not reach my destination. Then with next life I have to start again from point A to get to point B. So the goal of this body is to get from point A to point B. तो जितना आपको चाहिए point B तक पहुंचने के लिए, उतना आप material knowledge acquire करो, उतना आप यहाँ पे endeavor करो in this world. So the primary goal is self-realization, going back to Godhead. Everything else should facilitate this one goal. Okay? It should, so the body and the senses, everything should be a means for the attainment of the other world, the spiritual body, which is ultimately immortal. ठीक है, तो प्रभुपाद ने इस परपोर्ट में एक बहुत अच्छी बात बोली है कि मेक द बेस्ट यूज ऑफ अ बैड बार्गेन. हम इस परपोर्ट को अगली बार थोड़ा पढ़ेंगे और फिनिश करेंगे. टू मेक द बेस्ट यूज ऑफ अ बैड बार्गेन, इसका मतलब क्या है? हमें बैड बार्गेन मिला है, हमें ये बॉडी मिली है जो कि एक बैड बार्गेन है. कैसे बैड बार्गेन है? ये बॉडी इज अ सोर्स ऑफ मिजरी. So there are more ways to suffer with this body than there are ways to enjoy with this body. ठीक है, this is very important concept to understand. इस body से suffering ज्यादा मिलती है, enjoyment कम मिलती है. क्योंकि जो भी आपको suffering मिलती है, उसकी intensity, उसकी duration, the variety of suffering that we get, the extent of suffering we get through this body is much more. So the source of misery is much more. And this body, senses and all this entrap us, this cause bondage, and by engaging only our body and senses we become their slave. है ना, लोग अपने senses के slave बन जाते हैं ना, गोदास बन जाते हैं. तो और ये हमारी consciousness को भी contaminate करता है if you're just in bodily conception. तो ये हमें bad bargain मिला है. ऐसी body मिली है जो बहुत ज्यादा problems cause करती है, जो हमें यहाँ पे trap करती है, जो हमारी consciousness को contaminate करती है और जो हमें उसका गुलाम बना लेती है, makes us its slave. So इसलिए Prabhupada says in this purport that instead of just feeding our bodily senses, we should feed our spiritual senses, which purifies our consciousness, which frees us from the control of material senses, and makes us their Goswami, makes us their master. It liberates us. Okay? So इसका मतलब ये एक बैड बार्गेन है, लेकिन टू मेक द बेस्ट यूज ऑफ द बैड बार्गेन मतलब इस बॉडी से इतनी सफरिंग मिलती है, इस बॉडी से इतनी मिजरीज मिलती हैं, ये बॉडी हमें इतना ट्रैप करती है, हमें अपना गुलाम बना लेती है. उसका बेस्ट यूज ये है कि उसको यूज करो इन प्योरीफाइंग योरसेल्फ, उसको यूज करो, अपनी सेंसेस को यूज करो in engaging in Lord. Okay, जैसे कि आंखें हैं, कान है, मुंह है, body है, उसको use करो in serving the Lord and engaging in various spiritual activities, and that will be the best use of an otherwise very very bad bargain. तो इसको आगे और अगली बार लेंगे मंत्र 11 को, because Prabhupada's purport is very beautiful in this verse. But I just wanted to show you the flow of mantra 9, 10, 11. कि 9 में जिसको विद्या कहा गया है वो एक्चुअली वो भी अविद्या है, तो इसका इसलिए 9th वर्स कवर्स ओनली अविद्या. 10th वर्स सेज कि एक से एक रिजल्ट मिलता है और दूसरे से दूसरा रिजल्ट मिलता है. लेकिन हमको इमॉर्टल होने के लिए दोनों को थोड़ा थोड़ा साथ में लेके चलना पड़ता है. सो दोज हु प्रैक्टिस वेदोभ्यम, they are assured that they will enjoy ashnute amritam, they will enjoy immortality. So इसका और डिटेल्स बाद में पढ़ेंगे. So there is a proper authorized way of becoming immortal. Hiranyakashipu's way, Ravan's way, or today people that are trying to achieve immortality is not the authorized way to achieve immortality. Krishna has given us how to achieve immortality through this विद्या. पर उस विद्या को पाने के लिए और प्रैक्टिस करने के लिए भी हमें इस बॉडी, ये जो हमें एक व्हीकल मिला है, ये एक रिसोर्स मिला, एक टूल मिला है, उसको थोड़ा थोड़ा कल्टिवेट करना होगा, थोड़ा फीड करना होगा, एंगेज करना होगा, एंड दैट इज हाउ यू कैन प्रैक्टिस विद्या. You will be able to understand vidya, you will be able to practice vidya. तो इसलिए विद्या और विद्या दोनों को साथ लेके जो चलेगा वो सिद्ध होगा, वो परफेक्शन ऑफ लाइफ अचीव करेगा. बट अविद्या को ही सब कुछ मान लेना ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये अहंकारी या हिरण्यकश्यपु टाइप के लोगों का पैथ है. Okay, I'll stop there. Let's see if anybody else has any questions, realizations, comments. Who wants to share anything new they learned, or you may not learn something new, but you may learn the concept may get deeper as we keep hearing more and more. It may go inside, may get imbibed more. So let's hear. Prinka Mataji, Hema Mataji, Nagarjuna Prabhu, anybody wants to share anything? Poonam Mataji.
Krishna, thank you again for this wonderful class. It is and discussion. It was very enlightening and cleared a lot of concepts. Thanks for also going back and reviewing those 18 things from 13th chapter. So it's all, we need to constantly remind ourselves of these things, because that is what we are aspiring for. And it's very clearly given in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and now in Srimad Isopanishad what are the things we should focus on and what things we should not be focusing upon. This concept of avidya is also very interesting, because we tend to actually go after a lot of avidya without realizing that there's avidya that we are gathering. So all this, even it doesn't need to be necessarily educational. That we may think, okay, we have stopped our education, so now we are not gathering avidya. But all this news and who is fighting who and politics and this, but what really is the point? I sometimes discuss with my father, because he's very interested in in India now. The elections are going on, so where, how much, how many seats are there, where, and what is happening, what is who is winning. And I think, आपको say, why are you so much involved in this that you are completely consumed by it? Is it affecting you in any way directly? Like, is it directly affecting, okay, you can try to have a general knowledge to know who you're going to vote for, but getting into the that this person said this and this person said this and this will get these many votes and this person will get, what is the point of consuming yourself completely in it? Morning to evening you're spending 10 hours in that, whereas you can utilize that time uh, so much in reading scriptures or getting really the vidya, versus getting so much into avidya. So it's not only just education that we feel that, okay, uh, actually, as I did actually here, learning a little bit of both are necessary, um, but we tend to do 99% of vidya learning and hardly anything vidya, and we still feel that we are situated very nicely. So we need to hanker more. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. And people find more and more ways to absorb themselves in this world. Politics के through, sports के through, हॉलीवुड बॉलीवुड के थ्रू, दुनिया में वॉर्स और ये वो, जब कोरोना था तो कोरोना के थ्रू, बहुत से तरीकों से नई नई चीजें आ गई to absorb themselves in this world. Yes, Hema Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I think, like there's a lot. What I feel is there's a lot of pressure around you to know all this. I know that I was never that kind of person जो कि news में इतना interested होते थे. Like I didn't care about news much. ठीक है. But I also know how, you're perceived, like when you're sitting with your friends and the topic is all these conversations and you are not up to date with them. It didn't really bother me because I did not even care much because they were futile, but not because I was into like more bhakti, but my perception was always like, it's ignore the worst news. Like why do I need to hear the worst news every day, and make my mood off? So I used to ignore it. But if you're in this society, when you're with friends and families, it's actually valued that, oh, this person knows so much about what's going on, the affairs, and, like, okay, the kids, like, there's a lot of pressure. Like, I feel that to be successful in the society, you like GK, IQ, and all these things are perceived as almost like you're given more like prestige. कि भाई इसको तो सब कुछ पता होता है, current affairs के बारे में पता होता है, all that. So a lot of people are like, I know people who just read the news because they want to be up to date with the news, as if they're going to be quizzed or something, or at least they'll have something to talk about when they're with friends and families, and they can show कि हाँ इसको तो knowledge है भैया क्या हो रहा है आसपास, and that is a lot of pressure because you're valued. How you're valued in society makes you think that you need to know all these things. Same thing with kids. I think we kind of push kids to learn more math or learn more English or learn more piano or learn more, things. These days we are putting them to like so many activities, and it's almost like pressure from like, I feel like it's almost like a more like society में अपने circle में fit in करने के लिए you have to do certain things. Even if you're not interested full-heartedly, you have to up to date yourself. Like in medical knowledge, we have to be up to date with the basic evidence base. Otherwise, you'll be you'll be the doctor who doesn't stay up to date, and your patients will think it's kuch pata nahi hai. Like he's not the modern up to date doctor. So there's a lot of pressure from circumstances and your situations.
Yes, Mataji, thank you for sharing that. So, Mataji, few understandings on this. So devotees, they are very smart, okay? And as they engage more and more in spiritual knowledge, devotional service, they actually become even smarter. So, जैसे आप बोल रहे हो कि up to date रहना होता है. So some awareness, understanding we should have about this world. It doesn't mean that you get consumed by this or you get too much affected by this, because there is a circle of influence, and there is दूसरा क्या होता है, circle of influence, and तो आपका जो circle of influence है उसी में ही आप काम कर सकते हो, right? तो आपको पता है this is outside your circle of influence, all these things that are
Circle
going.
of concern and circle of influence.
हाँ, तो सर्कल ऑफ कंसर्न के बारे में थोड़ी अवेयरनेस होनी चाहिए, लेकिन उसमें बहुत ज्यादा डीपली नहीं जाने की जरूरत, ठीक है? सो अगर आपने न्यूज दिन में एक बार पढ़ लिया, ठीक है, बस दैट्स इट. But then the rest of that does not mean you're compromising your chanting, your hari katha. If you have decided कि इतना देर मैं पढ़ता हूँ या सुनता हूँ, your shravanam kirtanam, your all that should not be affected. So it's just like being aware. It's just being aware of the current situation, circumstances in the world. Yeah, utna we should do, because we are living in this world, and we are affected by this world as long as we are in this body. So second aspect, जैसे कि जो बच्चों का हम करते हैं, चीजों में डालते हैं, उसका एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ये होती है, because kids, they again, हमारी आंखें हैं कुछ तो देखेंगी, कान है कुछ तो सुनेंगे, right? हाथ है कुछ तो करेंगे. Ultimately, whatever they are learning, whatever they are, whichever direction they are growing, we are hoping that those skills, etc., they'll be able to utilize in keeping themselves engaged in Krishna consciousness and spiritual activities in future. Lekin at this point, they don't know what their interests are, so sometimes they need to explore some of those various aspects of their, capabilities, talents. कि अभी उनको पता ही नहीं कि उनका क्या, किस चीज में प्रोक्लिविटीज हैं, टेंडेंसी है, कि मुझे म्यूजिक में इंटरेस्ट है या मुझे स्पोर्ट्स में इंटरेस्ट है. और ये सब चीजें हैं उनको आगे, ऐसा नहीं है कि देयर ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर डिग्रेडिंग. दीज आर जस्ट टूल्स, and the tools can either uplift somebody or degrade someone, depends on how you use the tool. So again, we are not saying कि completely दोनों को separate कर दो और बहुत overly engaged हो जाओ in this world to impress other people. You are, if that is the intention, then that is wrong intention. If the intention is that my child will be able to discover his potential, his true potential, his true talents and skills, and then he will be able to keep engaged and will use those talents to uplift himself in future, then that is the reason those activities are recommended. किसी को आर्ट पसंद है, या किसी को राइटिंग पसंद है, या किसी को म्यूजिक पसंद है, या कोई म्यूजिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट पसंद है. ऐसे नहीं कि हर चीज में हमें उनको ठूसना है जबरदस्ती, but they can explore a little bit here and there. Whatever their tendencies are, you can encourage them in those, but giving the spiritual foundation. अगर आप सिर्फ वही, लेकिन दुनिया में क्या होता है, लोग सिर्फ वही करते हैं, और लोग करते हैं to use their child as a tool to impress other people or to gain name, fame, glories, etc. If that is the intention, that is the wrong intention. The intention should be that my child will be able to engage himself in a very fruitful, engaging hobby, yeah, talent, which will nourish them in future, which can be a source of service in spiritual activities in future, and so they are not so engaged in this world. जैसे अब दुनिया में जो खाली लोग बैठे, अगर वो बस पत्ते खेल रहे हैं या न्यूज सुन रहे हैं या कुछ ऐसा कर रहे हैं, so that is very degrading, right? So but this person can now use, he has discovered as a child that he has interest in playing piano. Now he'll play various musical instruments for the pleasure of God in the temple, and hold programs in his house, and for his own spiritual meditation and all. He'll be able to engage himself in a very calming, soothing, like a mode of goodness activity, instead of degrading himself in tamasic activities. So in this way, you have to understand the intention matters, and what is our ultimate foundation should be spiritual foundation. तो उसके ऊपर फिर आप बाकी की चीजें कीजिए. Thank you, Priyanka Mataji, for joining. Thank you for your kind comments. Yes, we'll stop in a few minutes anyways. So yes, we should not feel pressured to prove something to the society, but we should just engage as much as is needed for our own growth, for our own engagement. Is that and then medical skills mein jo aapne bola, so that is a little bit needed, because if you are a professional, and especially a profession where other people's lives are concerned, if we don't keep ourselves up to date, then we could be causing harm, and that will be a big problem. So it is actually part of our what we call conditional duty, that we upgrade our skills, that we perform our role, the responsibility that has been given to us as a doctor, that we keep ourselves updated and not cause any harm to others. So Mataji, that was my understanding on your realizations. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Anybody else wants to share? Shall we stop? We've exceeded the time. And then we can chant.
Hare Krishna. I'll just share one more thing that regarding this, that the way I deal with this is really, I don't go deep into, spend too much time into things like world politics and news and things like that. I keep myself a little updated, like, I get the CNN 5 things of the day or something like that.
That is what
that
we
you
were
read,
saying. That
right?
is what is recommended.
Just basic. And then actually, when you go in a, let's say, where there are more materialists and you're going in such an association, sometimes you have to go. Actually, I don't mind asking them. I've asked them because they have spent hours and hours and hours on this. So why don't they become the talking point, right? And I just show complete oblivion. यार ये क्या हो रहा है, ये Israel Palestine को बताएगा मेरे को तो समझ नहीं आता. That's fine, it's okay, right? And really, and they think they are pundits about it anyways. It gives them gratification to talk about it, and then you can utilize, actually you're in their company anyways, so it is actually you're learning about it, and it becomes a talking point in conversation rather than completely thing. And I just show oblivion. I have no problems in saying that I do not know much about these materialistic things, because that is not my goal. Hare
Right.
Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण. हाँ, तो हम ऐसे ही सर्कल में घूम रहे हैं जहाँ पे ये लोग इकट्ठे होते हैं. So then you have no choice. You have to hear their कथा of this world. तो जब आपका टाइम आएगा तो आप हरी कथा करो. इसलिए उन लोगों को भी हरी कथा करने के लिए बुलाओ, सुनने के लिए और सुनाने के लिए. Okay, let's stop here because we have exceeded the time quite a bit. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll continue mantra 11 next time, and we'll just take all these three again next time and just focus on finishing the purport of mantra 11. Thank you so much. Mancha kalparubhescha kripa sindhave
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः.
Radhikaya Tatale Krishnaya
Krishna Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya